listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Hello to all our friends from the Nerdverse. Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerd things from around the globe. James Earl Jones once said, "I'm on a journey. Wherever I run across a job, I say, okay, I'll do that." And I feel like that encompasses our boy Colum's approach in this journey that we are concluding today. Who's going to fight the Green Knight? I'll do that. Who's going to join the hunt? Colin volunteered to do that. Who will fight the greatest knight to ever live? Well, he wanted to do that too. And today we conclude our journey with the misfits of the round table as we finish off The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. We will also take a trip to the New Stuff Cafe where we're trying Oreo Coke and share with you our top 5 horror books. There will be some book happenings, nerdy news, and a lot of fun along the way. I am one of your hosts, Sir Longbeard, and with me is a fellow misfit of the round table who is making his return, Sir Daddy of Bojangles. Well met.
Well met, Sir Longbeard. I am back from my adventure, and you guys did a great job last week. I missed everyone. I listened to the episode. It was really good. And if you listen to the episode, much like myself, you learned that he is a huge banana guy. It's Dylan.
Oh, yeah. I'm big time banana guy over here. Big time banana guy. But not only am I here, we also have with us, and he has been with us throughout this entire journey that is currently coming to an end, as Justin said. It is the one, the only, the man with the stash looking like he just came out of 2 talented bastards. It's Keith.
Yeah, just like Sir Colum, you all are dragging me around through all these adventures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you just mantle. You're call him, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Call him.
That's right. Robert, you got a question for us today?
I do, man. So this Sunday's fall into summer. What up, man? I'm a very seasonal musical guy. Like I listen to different stuff during different times of the year. You guys have a band or an album you listen to that gets you in the mood for, like, say fall? What's up?
Well, I mean, this is a simple question for me. Now, this has for the last 2 years been my most played band, but in the fall, nothing is better than AFI, and not just AFI, but the album Sing the Sorrow.
Same answer. Before we even jump into the other two, every single year I go on a mega AFI run, and it always starts at fall. I've already started. Been listening to them all week, hyped up for fall. Dylan, what's up? What you got?
I literally knew what your all's answers was going to be as soon as you told us before the show that was going to be the question. But for me, I'm going with this more spooky season answer, and I'm going to go with Ice Nine Kills.
Oh, dude, I respect that, dude. Halloween vibe, metalcore, theme music. I like it.
Yep, I have no idea what any of these people you're talking about are. If I had to pick, Christmas music.
Christmas music gets you in the mood for fall. I love it.
It
dude.
really does.
And here's the thing: Dylan threw some shade, saying I'm going to go with a more spooky vibe. First off, dude, AFI has jack-o'-lanterns on the cover of one of their albums. Okay,
Yeah, how do you not know that, Dylan?
and they call it Fall Children. Okay,
Oh, that's a great song. Dude,
Come
they
on.
cover Rancid's Halloween, Dylan.
That's true.
Misfits Halloween.
My bad.
Just for all the mega fans out there,
Thanks for saving me.
I'll do my best. All right, guys, it's time for Nerdy Reads Review. Hey, we missed that woo last week.
Hey, dude, no one did the woo. I listened. I didn't hear the woo, but I didn't think anything of it. But, dude, as I mentioned, summer's ending, fall's beginning, but we still have a few days of summer left. And I read a book called The God of the Woods. It's been on my radar for a while. It is set in a summer camp. So I was like, dude, I got to read this before summer ends. It was a mystery thriller that followed. It was set like 14 years after Bear Van Laar, this rich family who owns this like giant Camp Emerson. Their son goes missing. 14 years later, his sister goes missing also from the same summer camp. So Barbara Van Laar, she turns up missing 14 years after her brother, and it's like a really slow burn. It's over 500 pages, which seems pretty long for this genre. But like, despite that length, the story kept me engaged throughout, and the summer camp setting was perfect for a summer read. The book kept me guessing to the end. It was everything I wanted in a thriller. I'll give you 3 reasons why I recommend it. There's a dual timeline. I instantly love that. You have 2 mysteries to solve. You go from 1961 trying to figure out what happened to Bear Van Laar, and then it jumps back to 1975, and you're trying to solve what's going on with Barbara Van Laar. It's really cool the way they do it. Another reason, there's point of view characters. I love writing style, especially when the characters are as interesting as some of the ones in this book, except for one of them. Lastly, I mentioned it, the summer camp setting. If you were a teenager kid, you went to summer camp, you're going to love this book. It hit me in nostalgia for some Camp Honor Bright back in the YMCA days. I got one nitpick. I mentioned except one POV character. There was literally one who was worthless. He took me out of the book every time he was in there. He felt unnecessary to the overall story. I keep my review spoiler free, so I'm not going to mention it. However, dude, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's worth your time to visit Camp Emerson before the end of the summer, which means you have 4 days to knock out almost 600 pages.
There you go. Sounds awesome, actually, bro. I saw your review that you posted up on the socials, and I went and checked that out, and it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude. Ever since we started doing this podcast, mystery thrillers, I never really interacted with them, but we did a few because of Book of the Month Club. And I don't know what it is about that genre, dude, but I just burn through them. I've actually read another one since I haven't been on here. It was called The First Lie Wins. I just kill those books, man.
Well, it's that whodunit kind of thing. I mean, they just keep you on edge. There's so much mystery to it. And a lot of times, like even this book we're reading now, I think a lot of the reason why you feel like it drags sometimes is that it took a while for them to get to the what just happened moments. And thrillers tend to get there quicker, I feel like. So
That's true.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, we got a lot of things we got coming up today. And so including New Stuff Cafe, where we have an interesting discussion and an even more interesting beverage and food crime, as some would say. So give us just a moment. We're going to walk to the fridge. We're going old school. We'll be right back with New Stuff Cafe. All right, guys, welcome back to the New Stuff Cafe. We have an interesting beverage, interesting food, great discussion coming up. But before we get to that discussion, Robert, what are we having?
Guys, we definitely have a food crime for you today, because when I think of Oreos, I think of like something classic, milk and cookies, right? And when I think of like Coca-Cola, I think of like popcorn at the movies or like a hot dog on a hot summer day. Who in the right mind was like, you know what, dude? Let's eat them together. But someone over at the Coca-Cola like research and development team had a few sandwiches one evening, and now here we are. Coca-Cola and Oreo collab.
Hold on. Did you buy a 12-pack of that bad boy?
Huh?
Harrison bought a total. It's a 10-pack. 10-pack of the mini, guys.
I also bought a 10-pack of the mini.
I just bought a 20 ounce because I have a feeling this is going to be a crime. But this is 0 sugar, which I do respect.
Which hold on now. Before we get into this, Harrison brought up a good point here. Harrison, listener of the show, brought up a good point. How are you going to take Coke and Oreos, 2 things that have sugar in them, and then make them have 0 sugar?
You just do it. It's that easy.
It is that easy. It's called carbonated water, caramel color, natural flavors, whatever that is. That's how you do it, baby.
I want to talk about the Oreos that I got from my local dealer, Robert Jenkins, in the YMCA parking lot. I tried one of these already, but the craziest thing is these actually smell like Coke.
Really?
Yeah, the Oreos, regular Coke. Like, it's like when you fresh get it out, when you fresh get it out of the machine.
The smell of Oreos.
Oh, it does.
Also, guess what? The filling, it's got like Pop Rock candy in it.
Really?
Yeah.
It does smell
Gives
like
you that
Coca-Cola.
carbonation sensation.
All right, skull boys.
boys.
Oh my gosh.
I don't hate it.
Wow.
It's just
It's weird.
Oh,
It's weird.
On the back end there, you can really taste the Oreo.
It tastes like I'm eating. It tastes like I'm eating.
Taste is all right.
It tastes. The aftertaste is the chocolatey taste that you get from the Oreo.
Yeah, I'm not upset.
Do you get any of the cream?
Cream's on the front end.
A little bit. Yeah.
Cream's on the front end.
I feel like it makes it like almost like a cream soda.
Chocolate's on the back end.
Wow.
Toasty.
This isn't bad.
You gotta.
Honestly, weirdly enough, I might drink this whole.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
A sip. Or a bite.
Listen, I'm going in for my first Oreo.
All right, I got the Oreos here. They do smell like Coke, not the kind from the 80s.
Don't combine them together.
They smell like Coke.
Don't combine them together, though.
Combine them.
Not good.
We'll see.
Absolutely not.
No way, it's that bad. Everyone else is living. My man over here acting like he's got to spit that out.
Wash it out with some Oreo Coke Zero.
Dylan?
It tastes like nothing.
It don't taste good, whatever the nothing is.
But the pop rock sound.
The pop.
Well, that's weird.
What is happening?
Did you hear it?
That's odd.
Oh my! What a sequence.
I don't mind the bevy. The bevy's all right.
Now the beverage is actually fine. The cookie's nasty.
Well, don't mix
Actually,
them.
you know what?
It's nasty.
You gonna mix them together?
I've already spit.
I'll double dip.
Hold on. I've already spit the cookie out, but I'm gonna do the old school way, the right way to eat the Oreo.
Just get your only cream.
Only cream.
Mouthful
Only
of cream.
on the front end.
Toasty.
Well,
Front cream.
Mouthful of cream.
what's the verdict, bro?
He's right, dude. When you eat the cream of the Oreo, it's just like Pop Rocks going off in your mouth. It's crazy. That's the weirdest sensation.
I
don't know how to. Thanks, dude. I don't know how to describe this.
I'm double dipping it.
Hey, you guys all got cool hats.
I love the prequels.
Yeah.
The actual wafer part of the Oreo is terrible.
I think it's
Let's just
this
get that out
part.
of the
I think
way.
it's the red. The red part is the terrible part.
One of the wafers on the Oreo is when you get a full complete bite, it's nasty. But
I'm gonna do it without the red part of the Oreo.
And the Pop Rocks are still going.
That's crazy.
Take the red off and eat it.
There you go. All right. So while they're kind of taking the red off of all of their cookies, Dylan, that's so disturbing, bro. I hate it so much.
The red one's the one that smells and the one that tastes bad.
Yeah, it was the whole bite. I couldn't do it, but the cream's cool.
So a couple weeks ago, we shared some video games that will hopefully get you ready for fall. And today, we wanted to share some books that will get you prepared for spooky season. This segment was inspired by one of our Discord friends, Shauna. So today, we will discuss our top 5 horror books. And so we're going to start from 5 and work our way up to everybody's number 1. So why don't we start with old Dilly P? What do you got for us, bro?
All right. So number 5. It's only my number 5 because I actually haven't read it yet. But my list is very short as I do not read books. I'm going with The Whispering Dead by Darcy Coates. This has been a book that I've had for a hot minute, and I have not read it yet, but I really want to. So I'm going to go with that.
All right, Robert, what you got for number 5?
So for number 5, dude, I have a book on here called Final Girls by Riley Sager. It's a cool back and forth dual timeline. Again, I like that stuff about a girl who was the lone survivor of a slasher style massacre. And the book flows with chapters of like what happened during her time at the Pine Cottage slayings. Like this dude's going around and offing all her friends, kind of Scream style. And then in the future, it's like how she's coping with that. She kind of meets some other final girls, and then, you know, stuff goes back because people start hunting them or whatever. But it's a cool take. I won't die on the hill that this book is for everyone or a great book by any means. And I put it in my top 5 in place of something else that I feel like is going to pop up on someone else's list.
All right, Kiwi, what you got for us at number 5?
And I talked about this before. I don't remember ever reading a horror book, but I did find a list of some. to me, I think the most, books that would give me a horror feel are body horror. So I got some body horror books. My number 5 is going to be one called The Cipher by Kathy Koja. And a little bit about it is this guy and his on and off girlfriend find a portal to another dimension, and they call it the fun hole. And they just throw stuff in it. And stuff that comes back through isn't the same as what it was when they threw it in there. The premise is, what happens if Nicholas jumps in here? What's going to happen to him?
What happens if Nicholas jumps in the fun hole?
When he jumps in the fun hole.
Okay.
Okay. We gotta get ourselves together. This has got this is out of control. All right. My number 5 is a book called Revival by our boy Stephen King. And so I read this a long time ago. And I love this book because it really stayed with me. It has a typical Stephen King setting. It's in a small town, and there's a boy, and he's like a kid who's growing up in this small town, and then a pastor and his wife move into that town, and they just become like people that everybody loves. Well, long story short, the wife ends up in a tragic accident, and the pastor ends up turning from his faith and shocks everybody in town. Well, Jamie is the kid character. He ends up being a guitar player for like a bunch of bar bands and stuff, and like makes his way as a dude, a nomadic lifestyle kind of thing. Well, anyway, the ending of this is a very shocking type of ending, but I just really loved this book. It stayed with me. It doesn't actually have a great rating on Goodreads, like sitting at a 3.8, but I feel like that's kind of Stephen King anyway.
That's a good rating, dude.
Yeah. And I feel like Stephen King kind of has some of those like people who are just haters and go on there and just rate books really low for no reason. But this book right here was a lot of fun. I really like this, sitting at my number 5 spot. So Dylan, go ahead and give us number 4.
All right, so number 4, I'm going to kick it a little bit old school and go with a classic Goosebumps answer for Welcome to Dead House.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, dude.
I love that one too. All right, let's mix it up. Kiwi.
Yeah, okay. For my number 2,
is this another fun hole one or what?
It's not another fun one. This one is called His Pain, and it follows Jason, which was born with a rare disease that anything and everything causes him extreme, excruciating pain. So he as a result, he's in a sensory deprivation bag, and he just exists in the sensory deprivation bag, but he gets cured one day, and now he feels no pain, and he has to hurt other people.
My number 4 is going to be My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. Abby notices her best friend Gretchen has been acting strange as of late. Is it possible she is possessed? Spoiler alert. She is, and this book is rad AF. Cannot recommend it enough.
What's AF stand for?
As fun.
It also has one of the coolest covers of any book.
Yeah, the cover is awesome, dude. I'll find a picture while someone else is doing theirs and put it up for someone to see it.
Yeah, it's epic looking. All right. For me, the number 4 spot goes to the Graveyard book. Or actually, not the Graveyard book. Sorry. I'll stay with the Graveyard book since I already gave it away. But the Graveyard book by Neil Gaiman. So this book was awesome. Follows a boy named Bod who he is in a very unusual place. He's a resident of the graveyard, and he's raised by ghosts and werewolves and all sorts of other things. It is a really cool book, really fun. And it has a really cool ending. And actually the beginning's really epic too. It's just a very typical Neil Gaiman style book. If you like Coraline, all that kind of stuff, this book will definitely scratch that itch. Oh, Robert's already got this picture up. Let's check this book cover out.
Now, for you kids born in the 2000s, you may not know what a VHS box looked like, but it very much looked like the cover of this book.
I think this month we've talked I talked about how I know what a VHS is.
That's why I brought it up. They even have the Be Kind, Please Rewind sticker up in the top right-hand corner, which is a nice touch.
Respect. All right, Dylan. It's your turn, bro. Hit us with
So-
number 3.
With number 3, it'll be my second and final Goosebumps choice. I'm going to go with Phantom of the Auditorium because it's just so good.
Oh, dude. Great shout.
Dude, that's a good one. And you know what I like about that selection is it's kind of that next tier selection, you know, like there's always the typical Goosebumps books that a lot of people go for. That one's I like that, dude. Good shout.
Yeah, it's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, good. Kiwi?
Yep, my next one on the list for body horror is called The Troop, and it's by Nick Cutter, and it's about this guy, Tim Riggs, and his group of scouts go on a yearly tradition on a camping trip, and somebody comes along, and after they meet this random guy in the wilderness, somebody starts to show signs of infection, and it has a trigger warning of animal abuse. So if you don't like that, stay away.
All right, Robert, what you got for us at number 3?
Number 3 for me is going to be so much like Dylan. Like, dude, I was going to do a Goosebump book, but then I thought, my favorite R.L. Stein book isn't even a Goosebump book. It's The Beast. And I love roller coasters and Kings Island as a kid, and I love them less as an adult, but I still ride them. But one thing remains true, boys. The Beast is my favorite roller coaster of all time. And this book is about 2 kids who stay in the park after dark. There's rumors that there's a ghost that rides the Beast at night, and they get on it, and then they end up back in time to a theme park that's set on the grounds of Kings Island 60 years in the past, and they have to prevent a tragedy or whatever. It's really cool. If you get a chance to ride the Beast at night, it's an incredible experience.
Unmatched experience. It's so fun.
It is, dude. It's so good.
That's awesome.
And it's a classic old wooden roller coaster.
It is. Sitting at number 3 for me, which was also probably number 4, but we'll go ahead and give it to the number 3 spot since I gave away the other one too early. It's The Last Word. And here's the thing about The Last Word. We did this on the show a while back. It has one of my favorite villains ever, HGK. He was the dude. We rated this at the time. We were doing like the rating system via our episodes, and we gave it like a 3.25 or 3.5 or something along those lines. Looking back on it, Robert and I had a long conversation about this. I would rate it higher today, and I think it's because it's stuck with me in a pretty cool way. It's fun. It's about a girl who goes to a beach house and she reads books. She gives a really poor rating to a book, and the author of that book comes to slaughter her. So it's HGK, and he's just a big dork who plays with samurai swords. He's our type of villain. We love that kind of thing. So definitely recommend this, especially if you're just you're in the mood for something fun. I feel like my 3 and 4, I had to get to some fun ones in there before we got to some really what I would consider real horror books here in just a few minutes. But yeah, The Last Word, really, really good. Plus that's one of my wife's favorite ones that she's read in a long time. So she loved it. All right. Sitting at number 2 for our boy, sweet baby Dylan. What you got, bro?
So as I was putting together this list, I realized that as a child, I was really into horror books. I wasn't really into reading, but when I did read, it was always a horror book. And this book is this is one that's stuck with me for a really long time, and I very much enjoyed it. And it is Skeleton Creek.
Ooh,
I like the cover.
I do too.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this book is it's written through the perspective of someone basically documenting certain events happening. And it comes with videos that you can watch of them exploring this haunted dredge. And basically, this guy goes with his friend Sarah. So Ryan and Sarah go to this haunted dredge in the middle of the woods that they discover. He ends up falling, getting hurt. They find out it's haunted. The whole thing happens. And he ends up breaking his leg. And so now he's pretty much stuck in his room, writing and documenting, trying to remember everything that happened. And he's not allowed to see his friend Sarah anymore because the injury happened. His parents are preventing him from seeing his friend, but she's going back to the dredge by herself and taking videos and all these other things. And you can actually watch it. There's literally links to videos that you have to put the password in for, and then you can actually watch her kind of explore this haunted dredge. And it's really cool. But yeah, I would definitely say this is probably one of my favorite books I've ever read, especially because the visual elements just really make it come to life.
That's cool, man.
That's awesome.
All right, Kiwi.
Yep. For my number 2, I have a classic that everybody's heard of, everybody knows. Maybe not everybody loves. I love it. Frankenstein.
Ooh. Got to go with that classic Frankenstein.
You got to. If you're talking about body horror, you got to go with Frankenstein.
Yeah, dude, it's a classic. I love that.
Classic.
Good shout. Robert, what you got for number 2, bro?
For number 2, dude, I'm taking another one from my childhood. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. You know, it's like that collection of like little folk tales or quick jump scare horror books, or some just make you feel uneasy. Like I could almost pinpoint that book as like where I really started to like the horror genre as a kid. And I have fonder memories of reading that as a child, but I have even fonder memories of like I went on a vacation with my friends of the show once and their kids, and I was sitting on this covered porch at night. It was like a fall night, and I saw Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark in a bookstore, and I bought it. So we're sitting out on this porch at night, and I'm reading, you know, Where's My Big Toe, or The Big Toe to all these kids. And at the end, he's like, you have it. And you lunge at one of the kids if you're the reader. And I remember all 4 of the kids just like screaming at the top of their lungs because they were all at ease because I got into it. I was doing the whole thing. I love that book. Awesome. Good stuff.
That's good. Number 2 for me is another book that we have done on this show. This book has lived rent free in my head. These last 3 are all books that we've done on the show. But this one right here, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulaka. Okay. This dude's coming out with another book in October. Hidden Pictures was so good that hands down, no matter what, when his next book drops, I'm in there. Here's the thing, dude. This book was kept you on your toes. And the reveals in this book were second to none. I remember just laying in my bed and I'm reading this book, and here we are. It's like 11 o'clock and I'm nearing the end, like the last maybe 15 chapters, and things are just popping off like crazy. I just laid there until like 1 a.m. to finish that bad boy. That book was that darn good. So Hidden Pictures, number 2.
Hey, dude, that book was actually my number 5, but I knew it was going to be on your list somewhere, so I'll put it as a special shout out. I will never forget the seance scene in the shed and the way I felt reading that thing. I actually had goosebumps reading that scene. Good stuff.
Terrifying book. Dylan, it's time. Guys, everybody, it's time for our number 1 reveals. Dylan, what do you got?
Listen. I had to search super hard to find this book because it's been a very, very long time since I read it. But I remember, like, in elementary school, reading it, and then, like, I checked it out at the library, and then I had to take it back, and I checked it out again because I wanted to read it again. It was just that good. And this is a book called The Ghost of Crutchfield Hall. And it is a book about, well, honestly, I'll just read the synopsis here. It says, when 12-year-old Florence boards the crowded horse-drawn coach in London, she looks forward to a new life with her great uncle and aunt at Crutchfield Hall, an old manor house in the English countryside. Anything will be better, she thinks, than the grim London orphanage where she lived since her parents' death. But Florence didn't expect the ghost of her cousin Sophia, who haunts the I don't know what that word is. Rooms and dimly lit hallways of Crutchfield, and concocts a plan to use Florence to help her achieve her murderous goals. While Florence is able to, will Florence be able to convince the others in the household of the imminent danger and stop Sophia before it is too late? Sorry, I butchered that reading, but yeah, this is one of my favorites. I read in elementary school, and I always remembered. I just could never remember the name of it, and I finally found it, so I'm pretty hyped about it. Honestly, I might read it again. But
man, that's what's up.
There you go, man. I love that. Kiwi, number 1.
My number 1 is actually, it's not a specific one, but it's a collection of ones that you can find, and it's not a book, it's a manga, but it also has TV adaptation. It's Junji Ito's collection, and that stuff is, I mean, he has several different ones, different horror takes on stuff, and it's got some of the scariest stuff that you can see.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think so. Yeah, he's got a bunch of different ones. Some No Longer Human, There's Ali Uzumaki. That's a popular one. Tomi, Gio, Tombs. There's a ton of different ones, and you can watch them too. So
that's awesome.
We don't want to read them.
I mean, this right here from that collection, I'm gonna put it on the screen. Sorry, audio listeners, is straight up nightmare fuel. Like, what is even happening here, dude?
One of my favorites that I've looked into is the one. It's where the balloons are coming down from the sky, and the balloons are just like a giant balloon of your head, and it comes up and it like wraps like a noose around you, and you're dead. Now you're just being floated into the air by a giant balloon of your face.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right, Robert. It's time for number ones, bro.
All right, dude. I probably, honestly, if I wanted to, my entire top 5 list could have just been this author. But I wanted to like give some diverse answers. So I kind of went back to my childhood a little like Dylan did, and then some recent ones I read. So, but without question, my favorite horror novel of all time is It by Stephen King. And I actually revisited this book probably about 5 years ago when I was working night shift at a casino. And that book still hits to this day. If you haven't read it in decades or whatever, and you pick it up today, it's still creepy. It still has a lot of that uneasy feeling you want to get from a horror novel. And it has some messy parts. And there's some real questionable stuff towards the end in that book. But overall, I still think it is one of the best horror novels of all time that you can read. Highly recommend.
I'm with you. My top 5 list probably all could have been Stephen King books as well. But outside of Hidden Pictures, I really feel Hidden Pictures just belongs in my top 5 now for forever. But my number 1 is also Stephen King, and it's also a book we've done on this show. I consider it horror, but it's Holly. Holly is
it's not fairy tale.
Do what?
It's not fairy tale.
It's not fairy tale. No. It's Holly. Holly was one of the scariest books I've read in a long time, as far as just the setting, and it was real life stuff. It wasn't some supernatural thing. It was a couple old folks who slaughtered and ate people, and it was just eerie to the bone. Holly was an amazing lead character. Holly Gibney is just awesome. But that book was just one of my favorite books that we've even done on the show. I always tell Robert, I'm like, there's 5 books that really stay with me as like the staples for me so far, and Holly is in that list. So love this book. So good. Sitting at number 1.
Yeah, you can put so many different Stephen King books throughout these lists for sure.
Oh, yeah.
One that comes to my mind, Carrie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a popular one.
Yeah. I mean, even Pet Cemetery, like Stephen King.
Mr. Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to throw You Like It Darker that we just got done with, I mean, You Like It Darker has some cool little horror moments. So, I mean, he's the king of that. So, respect.
Rattlesnakes.
There you go.
I was at that one house elf in our Discord through the little Rugrats nightmare fuel picture in there.
Yeah, I saw that. So I mean, it's a pretty awesome. I mean, he's an awesome author. So love that. Great stuff. So, hey, hopefully that gives you all or inspires you all to go and pick up some horror books to read in October. That is some amazing lists from anything from even like some kid books too. We talked a lot about some Goosebumps and different things, or even the old school Frankensteins. I mean, all this stuff is just fun things to engage in. And tis the season. So turn on AFI, open up some Stephen King, and you just have yourself a party. Okay. Speaking of party, we're celebrating today because we are finally concluding this awesome book, The Bright Sword. So give us just a moment. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back for another exciting adventure through Britain. We conclude our book club of The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. If you've been reading with us, we have made it to the end. This is it. We are finishing it up today. If you are not there yet, then you can go back to previous episodes to listen to our thoughts on previous chapters. So before we get started and Robert gives us the rundown, I thought it would be fun, and this is a question that all of us can answer, but when you think about the Knights of the Round Table, and you think about that, what do you guys think the appeal of the Knights are in history. So the Knights of the Round Table, we all heard of it before we read this book. What do you think is the appeal? Why does it continue to be written about? And why do people make movies and all that kind of stuff? What do you guys think it is?
If you don't mind, I'll go first. When I think of this question, I go straight to the meme of the dad on the riding lawnmower wearing the knight helmet. And I think this is just kind of like for girls, it might be romance. For guys, it's knights and adventure and, crazy things happening, fight scenes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the appeal for me, at least, is just the adventure of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would second that. Just getting together with your bros around a table and saying, hey, let's go here. Let's go exploring and have an adventure today.
Yeah. I think the bro aspect is very much a piece of this. It's like, because when you think about Arthur, you can't think about Arthur without Lancelot or Merlin or all these different guys, all these different knights, and they're all a part of it. And you just think about this bros, all these bros who go, hey, dude, let's go find this cup, or let's go find the sword and the stone. Like, just a bunch of dudes who are just like setting off on adventures and getting all sorts of crazy stuff. Robert, what you got?
Man, I have like a short answer. Knights are cool. And more of a long answer, like first off, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is awesome. So that keeps King Arthur alive. What's up? Mm-hmm. But dude, I think it's the round table and what that represents as a whole is kind of cool. Like it's like you all mentioned, like a brotherhood, like a brohood. Like when you get to that table, it's like you're unified. You're one group. We're going to do adventures together. They don't care about the backgrounds they came from. Like even in this book, like Dinadan, born a woman, becomes a man as a knight of the round table. Everyone but Colin knows. And it's like a big deal when Colin finds out. He's like, what? And everybody's like, dude, how'd you not know this? And they literally don't care. It's because, dude, when you're knight of the round table, you're bros. It represents unity, doing things with they don't care. That's what I think is cool about the all that.
Yeah. And it's been going on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. These stories have been developing, and can't wait to talk more about that here in just a moment. But before we do all that, Robert, give us the rundown on what we're talking about today.
Yeah, dude. So previously Keaton did a great job on the segment last week, dude. I want to shout you out. I don't want to gloss over what you did. I feel like I didn't even need to read the chapters you went in so hard on it, dude. But like our heroes arrived in Avalon on the flying ship piloted by Guinevere. They're hoping to save Arthur, bring him back to Britain, and with this help overthrow King Galahad, aka Justin. And I'm still like, dude, at the beginning of this, when it started off and they're in Avalon, like the whole time they find out Colum isn't King Arthur's son, right? And I'm happy. I didn't want him to be King Arthur's son.
Exactly.
I feel like that would have been lame.
It would have been really lame.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. I thought it was cool. Everyone trying to save King Arthur, like Nimu's over there trying to use all the magic she can. Even Morgan Le Fay's trying to save him. Like all these people with different motivations, and they couldn't do it. And then I'm still the whole time like, Column's got to be someone. And they mentioned that S in this chapter. And he had that S on his sword. And they never, even from now to the end of the book, they never really kind of went in that unless I missed it. But
I don't think they did say anything about it.
I guess it's just like a weird, Justin said lots of people had S's on their swords. I guess that's all it was, man.
I did a little research on that, and apparently it was just kind of a stamp on British swords. So,
okay.
Yeah, it was a very, like, kind of a almost common thing to see the S on a sword. So, yeah, I wonder if he was utilizing that as just like another shout out to kind of history there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I guess the coolest part of this chapter, they realize we can't bring Arthur back, and they kind of have like a moment with Arthur and some weird dream, like I don't really know how to explain it thing. Yeah. And Bedivere and Guinevere get like a proper goodbye with Arthur, which I think's cool. And then somehow, for whatever reason, Column's just here. As per usual, like off to the side, just walking.
I don't know why he was involved in the dream sequence at all.
It was weird, man. But I think the best part though too, like Bedivere got his other arm back, and he even kind of described it like Deadpool, or like it's all pinkish, like it's not fully formed yet. What is even going on at this point, man?
Yeah.
And I was just ready, like from that chapter on, I'm ready for them to go back and just give Lancelot the business.
Exactly.
And we find out who Colum is. Obviously, like his father was Sir Blueberries.
Which I mean, come on,
dude.
Like, here's the thing. We talked about this whenever we were all scared that he was going to be the son of King Arthur, and we were like, please don't let that be the case. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that he was a father killer in chapter 1.
Yeah,
what
exactly. Yeah.
What that was a twist, dude.
Baby blueberries, man.
That came out of nowhere. And even so, it goes a little bit deeper into it that his mom was a fairy. So that's how he's that half fairy. So it's
I agree, dude. It's really cool that and I like that Morgan Le Fay kind of watched over Colum as he grew up and stuff. And I'm gonna just say Colum's heritage is a lot better than if my dude had been King Arthur's son. If he's King Arthur's son, I'm out.
Yeah.
All right. But so, from there, they kind of get thrown out of their little flying ship by Merlin. Like, Merlin's back. Lancelot went, got him, of course. He's bringing the ship down. And then, dude, even stranger, because stuff just be getting weird in this book. Colin became Aquaman. My dude grabs an anchor and dives to the bottom of the lake, holding on to the anchor. He could just breathe. I guess it's
not even it was the ocean.
Well, I was okay. I'm glad we're talking about this. I was kind of confused during this time, right? Because he's talking about the further he goes down, it just becomes it's just all black. And he's surrounded by what it feels like ice and cold. But I never got I don't know, unless I absolutely, and I did listen to this part on Audible. So unless I completely missed it, I didn't get the sense that he was in water though.
No, he was, dude. He grabbed the anchor and drove and went down to the bottom.
Right. But I didn't get a sense of any of that though. Like he's underwater.
I can see maybe when he went underwater, he kind of got transported into like a fairy-ish area.
That's kind of more of what I was getting the vibe of.
But my line of thinking, my line of thinking is he was there talking to the Lady of the Lake, and so she was kind of doing something with it to where they could talk, and he didn't need to breathe.
Yeah, and then she gives my dude Excalibur, and I'm like, okay, here we go. But then, of course, because this book just with the pacing, my biggest complaint's the pacing. Like, I'm like, oh, he's got Excalibur. Aquaman's about to come up out of here, and we're gonna get a throwdown scene. Let's do it.
Well, I also like real quick before we run past the Excalibur part. I like how she did give it to him, but not really necessarily willingly. Like
she just said, "I'm done with you."
Basically. Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, and she's like, "I don't care about Britain." Like it was very much like it wasn't like, "Oh, the hero is here, take the sword." It was such a different twist because she's just like, "Dude."
She's saying Merlin. I think she goes into how Merlin tricked her or something and said like this guy was gonna bring back the old world, but now he just has he brought all this Christian stuff.
Yeah.
So dude, I'm excited. He's got the sword. We about to see something, and then of course, bam, flashback, and I'm like, dude, come on, bro. And the whole flashback, right, to me is, I guess this one was actually important at the end, but it was a very long chapter, and I remember going, what is the point of this? Well, I guess the point of it, we find out, like, Arthur they find the Grail. And they find it in the pagan castle where he killed the king, like way earlier in the book, which I do love when stuff comes full circle. So him going back to that castle and checking on the kids who are now adults and like king of the castle and princess. That was cool. That whole scene was cool. Him seeing the Grail out there was cool. Like the flashback started paying off in dividends, kind of how every flashback, I was like, oh my gosh. But then by the end, except for Sir Scipio's, his was terrible. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool.
And nothing to do, That was kind of
Sir Scipio's, not to go back to that. I like the story though.
Like, but it just didn't have any the other ones.
Exactly. I think that was I think that's the beef with it, is that it didn't really connect to much. But it was like, if it was like let's say a short story, I'd be like, oh, okay, that was all right. There was some...
I did enjoy, and this backstory was, I was kind of annoyed at first, like Robert, but just seeing King Arthur's part of it finally coming to an end in the story is what I liked. He finally realizes like the biggest thing that he's been missing the whole time was, that whatever this is his biggest illusion that he doesn't need, so he just let it be.
Yeah.
Basically.
He asked for forgiveness, and the kids were straight up like, dude, we're not going to forgive you. You killed our dad, bruh. Like, forgive you? Forget you. Get up out of here. And he saw the grail, and he goes for it, and Lancelot's like, dude, you can't go for that grail. Like, we're in a pagan castle. That grail's cursed. If you do that, like, nah. And Arthur goes for it, and Lancelot, like, loses his mind, and that's when everything gets set in motion, and this backstory definitely makes Lancelot look even more of a douchebag. Yeah, like he's just if you like him, we got problems. And
you and I.
He rips Excalibur out of Arthur's hands and tries to cut the grail in half.
And then he runs away like a little baby. After he fails.
Ran away like a coward. He was
exactly.
gone. Yeah. Yeah, but dude, so like. Now we're like getting everything to wrap up with the neat bow. Like, how's this book going to end? Well, obviously, Colum's fighting Lancelot. It was a really cool fight scene. Like, for half a second, I was like, dude, is Colum actually going to lose? Because, like, he gets his fingers cut off. And I'm like, are they just adding some levity to it? And I was kind of hoping he lost a little bit and Bedivere would kind of close the book out. But Colum has some crazy plot armor. I mean, he's Aquaman. They ain't going to kill him. So he does this thing. He did it. And
I thought that fight was honestly pretty anticlimactic, though, in the broad scheme of things.
I felt the exact same way because this is at the very end of the book, and it's probably one of the most significant fights in the whole book. Mm-hmm. But you just can't help but think like, how is Colum not going to end up winning this?
Yeah,
because in order for the story to come around, he's got to win this.
Well, we have this epic fight scene, but the best part of it to me was like the author, again, he did a great job at shoring up like every plot hole, like everything ends. And Dinadan like runs Merlin through with a sword. And way back when Dinadan made that deal with the fairy, like, hey, he's like, you owe me for this. I need you to kill Merlin. And I thought that was a good touch that she did the killing blow.
Exactly.
Like, I love that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that just further puts it in there, the Knights Round Table, that Dinadan is just another one of the bros.
Yeah.
Because Merlin can only be killed by a man. So.
And I love how they buried Merlin like 15 feet down under stone, put a green rock or whatever it was.
Cursed rock in his mouth.
Cursed rocks in his mouth. Like, they made sure, dude. They were like, you're dead, but we got to make sure you're never coming back.
Yeah, and they weren't even, Nimue put the cursed rock in there, and she didn't even care. She broke a few of his teeth to get it down there.
Yeah,
dude.
I do love, like, they made Guinevere queen, which was nice, because if Colin became king, I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
But they made Guinevere queen, and then the little bit of humor at the end of that when Bedivere is talking to Colin, he's like, hey, man, I have more fingers than you now. So
I did like that part.
Bedivere is just awesome, dude. But and
he's
so I'm like,
goods.
I guess I'm thinking we're gonna have like our, here's where they are now. But no. We need one more flashback, boys. Mm-hmm. And it was, again, you could have just cut it out. I don't know the significance of having Morgan Le Fay and her sisters meet Arthur as a child, other than like just add a little extra lore to it. This chapter did nothing to me. It was like a Scipio chapter. I do like the bit about Arthur's generosity, how he would always like give to help others before himself.
I think this kind of just seeds in there that Morgan was kind of this character you thought was going to be maybe the big bad in the story the whole time, but really she was kind of like, I don't know, I forget the literary term for it, but seemed like a bad character, but was really helping all along, just in her own kind of messed up way.
Yeah, and I didn't mind this kickback chapter as much because it was like that final touch and bow on the King Arthur thing, he's gone, and you see him, be put to, that's all over with, and to see it one last time, him as a kid, it just show how even at the beginning he was all the things that people thought he was as a child. I think that was, I feel like it added a little. I don't know if I like where it was, but maybe whatever. We can talk about that later. But
it was fine, dude. Like, I think at that point I was like over the flashbacks, but like Keaton brought up a good point, and now that he brings it up with like how it showed Morgan was like kind of behind the scenes, like trying to steer things on a right path. I actually, you know what, dude? I like it a lot more now that Keaton showed me a different perspective.
Sure.
And so we discuss we get to the ending of the book basically, and our heroes like see a sea of Saxons, and they're like, dude, we can't fight all these people. And Morgan's like, you don't have to fight them. Change is coming to Britain. This is the change, dude. Like, they're being driven by the Huns from their homeland. You guys got to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. Guinevere would have to like go on to remarry. She named her child after Bedivere, which was awesome. And who was the last remaining knight, y'all?
Dinadan. For no reason at all.
For every reason at all, baby.
This is outrageous. Before we get to talk about this, I want to go back a little bit. And I really liked how Morgan, after they see all these Saxons, they're like, what are we going to do? We had to go back to Camelot, prepare for battle. And like you said, Morgan was saying, no, these are like refugees because they're fleeing from their land that's being flooded and being attacked. And they kind of set it up to where, what was I going to say? Anyways, going on, they kind of set it up, and their column is, I totally lost what I was going to say. Golly, dude.
Hey, it's okay, dude.
Too much.
I really love the quote at the end of the book about Dinadan when he said, why should it be that we're made for a bright world, but we live in a dark one?
Yes.
Like, I dig that quote, because who in this book faced more, stuff than Dinadan with going through what they went through? So, yeah. Yeah.
My gripe with that is I want to know what happened with Colm and Nimue. That's the only thing my gripe with that is. Yeah, but how did he die?
Need it spelled out for
how
you.
How did he die? How did Bedivere die? How did all these people die?
Old age, man.
And what I forgot, what I was going to say was I really liked how Morgan kind of laid out the future of England and Britain, and how it's going to change over the years, and that's like the little bit of knowledge that the fairies let her know.
Yeah,
that's what I forgot what I was going to say. Just seeing the future, and it leads into like modern day Britain, basically in England.
Yeah, dude. So, like, dude, overall, the book as a whole, I felt like it was a solid take on like that legend, and I really liked the ragtag team of throwaway knights they put together.
Mm-hmm.
I like the message of the book, and I like the author's take on magic and playing around with the different themes for each knight. The book, I do think, dragged at times from a pacing perspective, but I think if you're a fan of Arthurian legend, this is like the easiest book in the world for me to recommend to you.
Yeah.
If you're a fantasy fan, I think you'll find something here to like. I'd probably, if I were going to rate it, we don't really rate books here, but I'd put it probably about a 3.5.
And I think that also, if you're reading this and you haven't read the historical context part at the end, where he really goes into Arthur and who Arthur really was, as far as like what people assume he might have been, I think it's worth your time, because I think it makes the story cooler personally, because he talks about how, hey, Arthur was not most likely not a king. If anything, he was probably a Roman general of some sort, or officer who was probably a great warrior. And then he talks about how in different stories that were written about Arthur, that things kept getting added. He became king. And then this author made Merlin. And so then it was him and Merlin. And then this author added Lancelot. And then a love story between Arthur and Guinevere. And then there was this other author who added the romance between Guinevere and Lancelot. And it just talks about how this legend grew through story to the point where basically people were like, well, we don't know what's the real deal, And I thought it made this cool, because then it was just his take on all of that same stuff. And it just seems like what a cool blueprint, really, for people to create this really cool fantasy realm and make it your own with familiar characters that we all somehow have some connection to in a way. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think the pacing of this thing was at times a little hard to get through, and everybody in our Discord is very saying the same thing. First half slow, second half got a lot better. There were chapters where I was like, man, this is awesome. And there were chapters where I was like, you know, like, and there were times 3.5, I think, is a very fair score. For this one.
You go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, there are fantasy books that if somebody was not a fantasy fan, we would recommend someone if they were looking to get into it. This is not one of those, though. Like, I feel like if you're already engaged in this kind of stuff and you like this, easy recommend. If you're not, I would probably not recommend this to a person to see if I could get them into it. If that makes sense.
Maybe something a little bit easier to digest. Sure. But I totally agree with your rating and with what you guys said. For me, the pacing, yes, it was bad, but I told Justin this. I don't know if you heard it, BJ, but I was saying whenever I felt the pacing get slow, I would switch between physical and the audiobook, and I think that really helped me a lot. So anybody that hadn't read this book and is just hearing what we've been saying and they want to, get the nitty-gritty details and read it for themselves, maybe try, when you're feeling it, getting a little sluggish, switching it up between the audiobook and the physical book, if you can do that.
And this thing was narrated by Nicholas Guy Smith, and he really did a great job at it, to be honest. Yeah,
I think he did a good job as well.
Yeah.
And then one more thing, not related to, I mean, it is related to the book, but it's, not of the book. It's actually, I think Lionsgate has commissioned like a TV series that they're going to do for
already. Wow.
Red Sword. Yeah.
I'll check it out.
So I was looking at stuff today and I saw that. I just wanted to add that.
Dude. We'll definitely review that.
Yeah. Easy.
Well, guys, as we close up here, let's go ahead and give the final 3 words. This is the final 3 words for the entire journey through the book. What do you guys got? We'll start with you, Kiwi.
How to put this in 3 words? The lovable misfits.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. What do you got, Bojangles?
Better of your best night, bro.
Oh, man. That's a good one. That is a good one. All right, bro. Dude, I'm not going to lie. You kind of took mine. Mine was going to be Bedivere the goat, but I'll just say the journey's end.
Hey, I like the journey's end, bro. You can have Bedivere best night. I'll go with Column's plot armor.
Dude.
You can also do Justin as Lancelot.
Oh,
that is true. Hey,
dude, I can't believe we battled over that for so long, and then Lancelot ends up being the
You can have it.
Cool.
I gave it to you.
Dylan, what do you got for your final 3 words for this one, my man?
Life's a journey.
Dig it.
If we're going for another set, you guys got to. My other one is killed my father.
Nice. Hey, I want to give a thank you to everyone in our Discord that read along with us, and some comments in there. Solid Matt 13 said the highs in the book are really great. Ultimately, he liked it a lot. He felt it could have been about 6 to 7 chapters shorter. Let's see, Super Reader. She gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars and said the book redeems itself in the last half, which I agree. The last half was really, really good. But I didn't mind the first half. I actually liked learning about some of the 19 flashback chapters. But
yeah,
the last half definitely carries hard. And then Joshua gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. And he said he would not recommend it to anyone unless you're a serious King Arthur buff. So, I get that perspective of it too.
Yeah.
So,
I think that, and I also kind of am getting the feeling about this book that a few months down the road, I might feel differently after I've processed all the things that we've kind of gone through in the last 6 weeks with it. Which I honestly, I enjoy books like this in the way that we did it. If we would have tried to blast through this in a week, man, I don't know if I would have been able to, retain and even process what we've done. But going through this for the last almost 6 weeks, I feel like we've just kind of been on again. It's like we've been on this journey here. It's been kind of cool. I feel like this is going to last a little bit with me though, and maybe the longer I sit with it, maybe it becomes something similar to like The Last Word, where I'm like, you know what, I remember this more fondly than I did in the moment, and sometimes that's okay too.
Yeah, it's all right. I agree with that, dude. I can see that happening for sure. And we promise you listeners, asterisk on that promise, we probably won't do a book club book that takes 6 weeks again. Or if we do, it'll be a very long time.
Yeah. We're gonna try to mix it up a little bit.
The next book club book is actually Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, 1,000 pages long.
Ooh, man.
Well, dude.
There you go.
Well, thanks again for helping us with this.
Yeah, thanks for helping us.
Yeah,
man.
I loved it's so much more fun when you read along with and get to talk about it. So that's always been my thing. I'll read a book by myself and none of my friends will read it. And so I don't have anybody to talk about it with. And all I want to do is talk to people about it. Same with TV shows or movies and stuff. It's just you get a lot more out of it if you can talk to somebody else who has experienced it the same way as you have.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And just before we get into nerdy news, just a little brief rundown on something that we've done is we've taken all book discussions between this and even You Like It Darker and made just the book discussion portions on the YouTube channel. So if you have not read the books yet, or maybe you were like, I'm going to get to that later and you don't want to listen through the whole show again, there is just the book parts of that available to you. So if you're interested in engaging in that. But without further ado, we all know what time it is. It's time for some Sweet Baby Dylan and the nerdy news.
Well. It's that time again. If you're a listener of the show, you know what time it is. Every time you tune into an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, you can expect some of the latest and greatest news from across the Nerdverse. And every week, we like to kick it off with a sighting. And this week's going to be a little bit different. Gentlemen, do you want to catch fish?
No.
Do you want to forage for mushrooms and berries?
Absolutely not.
Because I'd pick the wrong ones and die.
Exactly.
I would too.
Do you want to build shelter? And
Not even a little bit.
Be the legend and live your best life.
I would build a shelter.
In Bigfoot life, the simulator.
Hold up, bruh.
What's happening?
I didn't pull up the link. Hold on. That was anticlimactic.
Just a quick before we see this, I'm imagining Bigfoot Life the Simulator as just The Sims, but it's modded and you can play as Bigfoot.
That'd be awesome.
Get ready to have your minds blown in 3, 2. Let me find it.
The best sighting of the week ever.
Can you add explosion effects to this? Because my mind is blown right now.
And it's gone. What happened?
Wait, what? Is it not playing?
That was there and then it's gone.
Okay, hold on.
The best.
It keeps opening up and it keeps opening the wrong thing. Hold on.
This is going into the bloopers supercut video.
I'm sorry. This was it keeps wanting to open it in Safari instead of Google. I think
Now it's time for our minds to be blown.
Your mind will be blown in
Now
2 to 3 business days.
Reset.
Justin's gonna have that apple for the core by the time the video plays.
Now, prepare to have your minds blown in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, dude, here we go. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. For the audio listeners, there is a video game. You play as Bigfoot.
What did he just eat that rock?
He's just eating stuff. A big furry hand was foraging for bears. What's he doing to that rabbit?
He healed him, bro.
Healed the rabbit. And if you want to know, the mushrooms that he can pick are just the superpowered mushrooms from Mario.
Bro, did you see how fast he ran when the alert on the screen said human nearby? My man turned into the Flash.
He's got heat vision. He's got thermal vision.
Oh, he's a predator.
All right. Hold up. I have to manage my inventory and food. No.
Done. Food, hunger. I'm already at.
He's a stolen trash bag. He's quick.
Bro. That Bigfoot speed is crazy. Is he taking a slam? Bro. He takes slams.
There's another Bigfoot.
He just threw a pumpkin out of rage.
No, there's a child just came out of that pumpkin.
What even is Dylan? You've outdone yourself.
You get what? You can change the color.
Oh, I'm sold now.
He's a redhead Bigfoot.
Bigfoot life, gentlemen.
You know what, dude? I feel like one of us will review Bigfoot. Nerdy reads reviews, video game reviews. We're playing Bigfoot, and Keaton's saying it should be Danny Bojangles. I agree.
Well, it says TBA 2025, so we got some time. I hate survival games. I think I'm the wrong person to review this one.
I'll do it. Why not?
Listen, hopefully, if it's multiplayer, me and Justin can do it because hopefully by then I'll have a PC. It is a PC exclusive, unfortunately.
Ain't unfortunate.
Nah, dude.
Let's go.
You couldn't run that fast if it was on Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, them graphics are too legit, bro.
When his little hand grabbed the berries, bro, I was
my favorite was when he was healing the rabbit.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, bro. Thank you, Bigfoot, for curing the rabbit.
It looks like whatever, if you're an audio listener, whatever you're imagining is probably true about the game.
I would agree with that.
Great sighting this week, bro.
Fantastic.
It was worth the wait, you know?
Yeah, it was the build up. I know was a little anticlimactic, but we got there.
The build up was like when you order something online and you just can't wait till it comes in the mail.
And then it gets delayed for the next day. Our next piece of news today is something that is kind of near and dear to my heart, to be honest. We have the return of Flappy Bird.
I saw this.
I heard about it.
Do you guys know what Flappy Bird is?
Yeah, didn't it make iPads worth like thousands of dollars if it was installed and tried to sell it?
This was on the iOS, or this was on the App Store, and then it got like taken off. And people were selling their iPads and iPhones and stuff with this on it for quite a bit. But apparently Flappy Bird is set to return with a more expanded version, this article is saying, aiming for launch by the end of October across multiple platforms, including web browsers, and an iOS and Android version planned for the release in 2025. But this new Flappy Bird isn't from the same creator. It's actually from a different creator. But the original creator came out later on and actually said that he didn't sell the rights to the game. So I'm not sure if that's going to cause an issue. I'll try to look more into that and see if there's any updates on it. But hopefully,
who is the creator of Flappy Bird?
My biggest issue with this is it's saying that this game was taken offline 10 years ago. It does not feel like it's been that long.
Yeah, we were middle school when this came out.
Side note, though, you could play Flappy Bird all this time. You just got to go to Dave & Buster's. They got a game, Flappy Bird. You can win tickets.
No.
Yeah.
What was cool about Flappy Bird? Like, take me, someone who didn't experience this game, take me through it.
Honestly, it wasn't.
It was more of a competition
game. Yeah.
Okay. It was more of it's like a, kind of think of it as like Crossy Road or Frogger. You can you use your own tapping skills to get as far as you can, and you boast your score to your friend. Like, oh, I got 160, and your friend comes up to you the next day, said, "Oh, I got 200," and now you spend all day trying to beat 200.
Wasn't this one, but wasn't there a game that had this formula that kids were getting put on their iPads and they were putting up like pay things randomly and people were getting $900 charges?
That sounds like Roblox.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure there's a lot of apps that did that, dude. This one thing about this Flappy Bird article before we move on, I like that it mentioned the creator's reasoning for taking it offline. It said the game was making tens of thousands of dollars a day, and he said he called it a success of his, but it was ruining his simple life, so he just pulled the plug on it. Some people don't want money, man. They want to, they want enough to get by, and that's it.
Too much money.
Yeah.
You should give some to me.
Hey, dude. Listen, dude, we all need a little bit to get by,
Donate. And we need some investors for the Nerdy Reads podcast and Hipster Goblin Media as a whole. So,
100%, bro.
Yeah, Don Wynn, the creator of Flappy Bird. If you're listening, you can invest in us. We'll be one of your successes. We won't ruin your simple life.
All right. So for our next piece of news here, this is something that I think the boys over here and maybe even over here, I think you guys are going to be kind of excited about this. I'm not going to lie. So without further ado, if I can get my link to work properly, because I'm just having all sorts of issues with it today. Give me 1 sec and we will get it pulled up. My friends, my bros, my brothers,
bro chachas,
Switch 2 leaks.
Having these, let's see them.
I did see this.
So,
go ahead.
These are unverified images, but they are supposedly leaks of images from the Switch 2, which Nintendo has confirmed it's not going to be until, I think they're going to announce when it's actually going to be coming out before April of next year. But this is what we got so far.
Looks like the Switch OLED to me.
Yeah, it literally looks no different. So it's a little underwhelming in my personal opinion. But, I wanted to get your
Bro, you know what? If this is my bad, dude, I cut you off. You were about to ask.
Go ahead, bro.
I am going to go ahead, bro. If this is it, I'm happy. If all it is the same thing, a little bit stronger, I'm happy. But I've been playing video games a long time, boys. Justin, you've been playing them even longer. You're a lot older than me. Nintendo does not just go, hey, here's our next one, but stronger. We would be lucky to get this. We're going to get something weird, man. It's what they do.
Hold on. I think they've done it, one time?
Super Nintendo.
From Nintendo to Super Nintendo.
Wii U.
And then the Wii U.
Even that was weird with the
Wii U was different because that went handheld.
I would honestly just say Nintendo to Super was when they said, hey, we're going to go from this to this and it's stronger. Everything else has always had some sort of gimmick to it, and I would say you could say 64 to Cube was not like a crazy. I mean, the controllers were wonky, really. GameCube had the little handle on the cube for you to travel to your
LAN parties.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad you brought up the Wii because my hypothesis here, my theory is that they're just coming out with the Wii 2. Scrapping a Switch is the Wii 2. That's what I'm wanting.
Well, I don't think they will. I think that Nintendo has struck gold with the idea of the Switch in the sense of, hey, do you want to play on your TV and have really nice graphics or whatever on your TV? And then do you want to be able to take it out of that dock and also do handheld? Because Nintendo has always been a little bit ahead of the game on the handheld thing. They've had a really good, 3DS, the Game Boy Advance, all that stuff. I don't think they're ready to abandon the idea of being able to take it everywhere. I think that's what Nintendo's niche is right now, is that it's everywhere. It's family friendly, and you can take it wherever.
That's another one they just made a little bit better, was the DS, the 3DS.
Yeah, and then they had the 3DS XL, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just a little bit bigger, yeah.
The new 3DS, they made an iteration called the new 3DS, and there were certain games where they actually ran better, like Majora's Mask. ran better on new 3DS instead of regular one.
As long as I can play Pokemon, I'm fine with whatever it is.
I think, from what I've seen, it's going to be more, at least from these leaks, they say like power wise, it'll be more powerful. Who knows if these are legit? I can imagine that's what they'll do though. Why wouldn't you?
Is this going to be a day one purchase for you guys?
If you can get it. Yeah.
If I can get it, I'll get it.
Day one, really?
Oh yeah.
Nintendo is always a hands down. Like I'll buy their stuff day one if I can get a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
Other consoles like Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that. Like there's always this little part of me. It's like, yeah, let's get the new console. But if I don't, I'm okay. Nintendo, I'm sad. Like if I can't get the Nintendo on day one, I'm sad. If I can't get a new Xbox on day one, I'm like, okay. Especially now when it's like most Xbox games I can just play on a computer anyway.
Yeah.
My computer runs all that stuff. So.
I'll put it to you this way, Keaton. I would not pay $700 for a PlayStation 5 Pro, but I would pay $700 for Nintendo Switch 2 with the power of a PS4. And I wouldn't even blink. I would just do it because I know
that's wild.
Game. Bro, I love Nintendo, man.
Yeah, me too.
You're a Nintendo bro.
We are Nintendo bros.
Nintendo bros.
Yeah, bro.
You're like the Disney adults of Nintendo.
Nintendo.Nintendo's one of those things, bro. They hold a special place in your heart, bro. I don't know.
They do. No, they definitely do.
It's gaming in its purest form. I feel like they release games.
Take you back to when you were a child.
Yeah, they release games that are finished.
They say, that is true.
They say, here's this Mario game, and you're going to buy the Mario game. Most likely, there won't be DLC, and they give you a game that you could play for 50 plus hours.
Oh, and guess what? It works on day one without a patch.
And it's a masterpiece most of the time. And so that's the thing about Nintendo. I know they drop the ball on some things, whatever the case may be. But when they release a first-party title, most of the time, you know what you're getting. You're getting a quality game that's done.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of them have really good replay value, too.
Oh, 100%. So. And they hold their value.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for nerdy news today. So, Robert, you know what time it is?
Man, it's time for What's Hot. We here at the Nerdy Reads podcast can't read everything. That's why I like to bring you something from around the book world. And I love to take like recommendations from our listeners and the Discord chat. Typically, I try to highlight something new here, but today I want to honor our boy, Ketone, and thank him for all his help covering the Bright Sword with us. And for that, today's book is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This is a dystopian science fiction novel set in the future where society is divided into color-coded caste. The story follows Darrow, a member of the lowest class, the Reds, who toil beneath the surface of Mars, believing their labor is making the planet habitable. However, Darrow discovers that Mars is already thriving and that his people are being exploited. So he joins a rebellion, of course. He undergoes a transformation to infiltrate the ruling gold caste. Darrow seeks to bring down the oppressive system from within, navigating treacherous political intrigue and brutal combat in his quest for justice. This bad boy's tagged science fiction fantasy 4.27 out of 5 with over 499,000 ratings.
Man, that's a great review. Great score.
I 100% recommend this book. If you're just like we're talking about how the appeal of the Knights of the Round Table is the manliness, that's the exact same thing with this. You talk about giant battles, giant space battles. Yeah, you talk about like sneaky assassinations. You got people hiding in the corpses of dead horses.
Man, is this Hunger Games but on Mars?
No, this isn't Hunger Games on Mars. I mean, kind of, yes. It has a very it has a very similar like social system to Hunger Games, but there's no like large arena where people from different social classes come to fight. So
I love your description where you said, "Nah, bro, it's nothing like Hunger Games." It's kind of like Hunger Games.
The only thing that's similar to Hunger Games is the social system. Other than that, I would say it is maybe akin to Game of Thrones.
Well, look, dude, I know you were hype on this one. You shouted it out on a couple episodes ago.
Yes.
And you said largely because of the Nerdy Reads podcast, you got back into reading again, dude. I had to shout it out. If it got you this hype, I want to honor that.
If you ever get Pierce Brown, I want to be there.
I hope, hey, Pierce Brown, come on the show. But
I'm going to start emailing him every day.
While we hope for Pierce Brown in the future, in the more immediate future, you can join us next week as we begin our next book club book, Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. We're going to cover this book over a 3-week period, with week 1 covering chapters 1 through 19. That may sound like a lot of chapters, but this novel does one of my favorite things ever. It's short chapters, quick bursts, boom, boom, boom. It's spooky season. This book is told from the perspective of a child, which I'm already creeped out about because kids at night are creepy. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Can't wait for that myself. All right, guys, you guys know what time it is. It's time for a mailbag. We only have one thing this week in the mailbag. All right, boom, 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 boom. This one right here is from Atalanta Ash. She says, I got a question for the show. If you were an author, would you want your work being turned into a movie or TV show? She says she asked because even though generally the authors assist in writing the script, there's still some absolutely awful renditions, and I'd be terrified that would impact my book if I was said author. So
if you don't mind, I'll go first.
Wow, Keaton's really taking charge of the show today. All right, go ahead, Kiwi.
I 100% would have it. Movie, TV show, it doesn't matter to me. They could pick whatever they want, whoever's paying for it, because I'm not. But I would love for, if I was to be an author, for it to be made. Just solely for the fact that whenever, like majority of the time, whenever you see a book to movie, the movie, maybe isn't as good as the book, but for that reason, people go to the book after seeing the movie first and just like it so much better. So that just props your book up a little bit more. They're like, the movie show was good, book way better. Read the book. So it brings a little bit of publicity.
All right, man. I'm going to answer this with one quick and easy thing. I'm gonna put it up on the screen for you.
Money, money, money.
I'm just gonna play this video, dude. As soon as I get back to the right thing. There you go. That's it. It's Woody Harrelson in Zombieland. It's Tallahassee crying, wiping his face with all the money. Oh no, dude, they ruined my property. Oops. Thanks for the money. Thanks for butchering my book in your movie. I still got paid.
Yeah. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's kind of it, right? Like if you're an author of a book and it gets turned into a show or a movie, even if that movie's bad, even if the thing's bad, I understand though the idea of like, man, this was I created this is my baby, and now you're absolutely destroying it. And I probably wouldn't love that, but at the end of the day, though, I'm sitting on my own island somewhere out in the Gulf of Mexico. So
because something I've I wasn't always this way, and I think really doing this podcast kind of made me this way. Like the book and the movie can both exist and be their own thing. And while it does suck, it's happened to me when you're so in love with a property and then you go watch like a film version or a TV show version and you're hyped because you love it and it's not at all lived up to your expectation. That does suck. And from a creator standpoint, that might suck even more. Mm-hmm. George R.R. Martin just came out here and blasted HBO over House of the Dragon season 2.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. He in a now deleted blog post, but come on, bro. You know the internet be saving stuff. You can't delete.
You got programs you can go back and look at stuff that was deleted.
Dylan, let's say, hold on. I want to also build upon the question. Let's say you create your own book, you make your own world, you're doing the thing, everything's great, and then the creators and rewriters of Acolyte say, "Hey." we want to build a show based on your book. I just need to fix this. I just need to fix the script a little bit. What are you doing it?
Listen, I was literally going to bring this up sort of. I know it's a different perspective, but just looking the way, like I'm imagining, I'm George Lucas, right? I created this amazing story, amazing IP, this amazing movie, this amazing saga, and having it selling it to someone else and giving them creative freedom and allowing them to do whatever they want to do with it. As a fan, it hurts me. And you guys know, if you're a listener of the show, it hurts me. So I cannot even begin to imagine being the creator of something and watching that happen. And you cannot pay me all the money in the world to experience that. So I would absolutely not. I do not care how much money. I would not.
Stand on your business, Dylan.
Hey,
You're
Dylan.
telling me Kathleen Kennedy knocks on your door and you're saying, "Get out of my face."
Knocked on my door, I would move.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey, this goes both ways. Stephen King actually came out and said like the Mist movie, and the directors actually went to him before they changed the ending and was like, "Hey, dude, we kind of want to do this thing." I think it's cool the director sought the author's input before he did it. But Stephen King was like, "Yeah, dude, the ending to the Mist movie is so much better than my ending to my book. I wish I would have thought of it myself." So sometimes different creators can offer a fresh perspective to your stuff. This can go both ways.
Yeah, Dylan, you could have an island
as long as you were still able. I don't care about the island. I don't care about the island.
And a jet that flies to your island.
I don't care about the jet.
You can be on Taylor's jet.
If you can have, if I had 100% creative freedom to do with whatever I wanted with it, then I would consider doing it. But if for any reason I had not any creative freedom or input on it, I wouldn't do it.
You still own your book, though. It'd still be your thing. They would just be creating it based on your world,
Well, but the thing is, though, that is attached to me. And if they ruin it, then they're ruining a story that I created.
All right.
Even though the original story's still out there?
I mean, yeah, of course, the original story and the original fans are going to still love it and, probably not care about, like most Star Wars people, real Star Wars.
Well, one example of this,
care about anything that Disney's made.
An example of this is if you take Ring of Power, and people hate that so much. Actually, it's a slandered show like crazy, but people still love Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's world. So I don't know, but anyway, I like
how would you would you feel better if Rings of Power just didn't exist?
Me personally,
yeah,
like right now, like as a fan,
yeah,
no, I don't care either way.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest, like it does not. Ring of Power existence does not bother me at all. Like,
yeah, but
because the original stuff
before it came out, were you excited for it?
Yeah,
and then you were disappointed once you watched it.
I mean, it wasn't like I wasn't so disappointed. I mean, it was like one of those where I was like, oh, well, okay. But at the end of the day, I also am like, the original stuff's still there, and I love that.
And it's like, if you get more of something you love, even if it's not the best, like, dude, Dylan, there was a time in my young life where I loved the original Star Wars movies, and that was it. So, dude, imagine being, what was I, 13 in 1999 or whatever when the Phantom Menace came out. I was hype. I was over the moon, dude. Like, yeah, like, and then I went and watched the Phantom Menace, and I'm sure as a kid I thought that movie was good, but
it was a great movie. You get more great content, that's great. But whenever you get more bad content, it's like, I'd rather have nothing.
Interesting. Hey, you know what though? I don't think. I mean, none of these answers are really wrong. We can all feel the way we want.
Yeah, I was really just joking about the money thing, dude. Because at the end of the day, like, if I created something and someone messed it up, I'd probably feel some type of way. But what can you do? You signed over the rights to let them create that.
Yeah.
I think for me too, like take money out of the equation. Man, this question went way longer.
Thanks, Adeline Ash.
But let's take money out of the equation. I think there's a part of me. Okay, here's an example of something. So I played in a band for years, and there was another band that said, "Hey, can we cover one of y'all's songs?" And we were like, "Dude, that'd be awesome." Like do it. I didn't think that they would do it the same way we did. They did a totally different take, but seeing something that I created and was a part of being done by somebody else in a different way was actually kind of a cool thing. So let's take the fact, like, let's say I create a world and I write a story and I make a book. And now somebody is taking my story and they're making something else with it. I think I would be excited to see what happens personally, in a way, like even if it was a little different, or they did so like Robert's example of the Mist ending and stuff like that. I think there's a part of me that would be stoked to see what happens. And you're rolling the dice on that stuff anyway. Like, especially from book to movie, you're rolling dice. So I took this book, I made this book. Now here, take this. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. And sometimes things don't translate the way that you think they will. I think there's a part of me that would be stoked to see how they did personally.
Exactly. My final take on it is, if I was an author and somebody wanted to do this, I would just be happy that what I created, it could reach more people.
Oh, so. Perfect. Thanks for that mailbag, Adelina Ash. That was actually one of my favorite questions we've been asked.
We'll probably talk more about it later.
Good stuff. Guys, what a great episode of Nerdy Reads Podcast. If you've been following us through the Bright Sword, we finally closed this thing out. It's over. And we had a great time, though, reading this one. And overall, our review at this current moment sits around 3.5 to a 4 out of 5, which is honestly not bad at all. So we appreciate all of our friends who have been reading with us. We also went to the New Stuff Cafe. We tried some Oreo Coke, which was also surprising. Okay? Not bad. Now, the cookies, my friend said, was, less than desirable. Now, if you heard what's next, Robert shared with us the next book that we're reading, and there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. You guys know one of our favorite things at the Nerdy Reads podcast is spooky season. We love Halloween. We love horror movies. We love all that kind of stuff. Actually, David Coomer is coming back for an episode in October to hang out with us. Okay. So there's a lot of cool things coming up on the Nerdy Reads podcast that you will want to know about. So Robert, where are they going to find us?
You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, YouTube. Like and subscribe at the Nerdy Reads podcast. Be sure to check our bios for a link in the Discord. Hop in our Discord. Talk books, nerd culture with us. Invite your friends to the Discord. Let's grow that community.
Absolutely. And you guys know we can never, ever, ever end an episode. And we won't. We shouldn't. And we couldn't without some advice from our very own Sweet Baby Dylan.
Listen. Always wash basmati rice till the water runs clear. Tastes much better and makes cleaning the pot a whole lot easier.
Thanks, Dylan. Is it just that specific grain of rice?
I don't know. Try it out.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Friends here at the Nerdy Reads podcast, we enjoy a good story. We believe that your story matters. So be good to each other and stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Farewell.